Okay, we're recording, Aunt Sophie, and this is the Oviedo Griot Project, and it's a griot is a member of a class of traveling poets, musicians, and storytellers who maintain a tradition of oral history in parts of West Africa. Now, Aunt Sophie, this is my aunt, and Aunt Sophie, what is your name?
My name is Sophie Jackson Washington.
And where were you born?
I was born in Oviedo, Florida, out on Jackson Heights.
And where is Jackson Heights?
Jackson Heights is out in the dune box before the area was built up. The Jacksons, the Sapps, the Moores, and the Barners all lived out in that area.
Oh, okay, all right. And for those of you who know Oviedo, that's near the present day Jackson Heights Middle School and the housing, Seminole County housing. Like you said, you were born in Oviedo.
Yes.
Were you born in the house or?
Yes, I was born in the house out there that my parents lived in.
Oh, okay, all right. Did you attend the Oviedo colored schools or churches?
Yes, I attended Oviedo Junior High School, and it was out on Division Street at that time.
Oh, okay. Was that so were you in that building?
Yes.
Oh.
I was in the building where Fountainhead Church is now.
Oh, okay.
There was a building there.
Oh, okay.
That we were in.
Oh, okay. So you went from first grade to
8th grade.
8th grade. Then after 8th grade,
we went to Sanford to Oviedo to Crooms Academy High School because we weren't allowed to go to the high school in Oviedo. So we had to catch the bus and go. Mr. Banks drove his bus.
Oh.
And we had to catch that bus and go up to Sanford to Crooms Academy High School.
Now, when you say Mr. Banks drove his bus, it wasn't a school bus?
No, it wasn't a school bus. It was his own personal bus.
Oh.
That the county hired him to drive.
Oh, okay. All right. So the county hired him to do the transportation.
Yes.
All right. So you did that for 4 years till you graduated from
Yes, I graduated from Crooms Academy High School in 1959.
Okay. All right. And as far as churches, what church did you attend when you were growing up?
Grant Chapel AME Church. Our families, my mother grew up there. Her father was the pastor there when they came to Oviedo.
Oh, really?
Reverend Williams.
Oh, okay.
And that's where she met my father.
Okay.
In Grant Chapel AME Church.
Oh, well, I didn't know that. So where did they come from then? So.
Well, my mother came from South Carolina.
Okay. Okay. All right. And your dad? Well, your dad was born.
Daddy was born here in Oviedo.
Okay.
Well, I think he was born up the Goldenrod.
Okay.
And they moved here to Oviedo.
Oh, okay.
That's where my grandmother was living up the Goldenrod, her and her families, and they moved here to Oviedo after he was born.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. And I'm going to ask you about some of your other memories of the Oviedo area because you have a lot of information, and I'm going to see how I can pull this out of you. You can tell us some interesting things. Now, you attended the Oviedo Colored School on Division. Who were some of your teachers?
Miss Judith Smith was my first grade teacher.
Oh, my goodness.
You know her, Judith.
Oh, I know her well.
Yes, she was my first grade teacher. And she was my mentor also after I even got grown and married.
Oh.
I would call her and ask information. If she couldn't give it to me off the top of her head, she would look it up.
Mm-hmm.
And she would give me the information that I wanted, and she even taught me how to do my income tax.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so she was my mentor.
Mm-hmm.
And until she passed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she touched each family in Oviedo because she was a teacher so long.
Mm-hmm. Remember any other teachers for the school?
Yes, there were Mr. Blackshear.
Oh.
He was a principal at Coombs Academy years after.
Mm-hmm.
And Professor Long was the principal
Yes. Yes.
when I started, and then Mr. Muller got to be the principal after he left.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Miss Williams from out to Jamestown, and Miss
Mm-hmm.
Thompson and Miss Rhodes.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people remember Miss Rhodes.
Mm-hmm.
And Miss Johnson, Washington Johnson.
Lloyd Johnson,
Yeah,
Washington,
yeah.
whatever. How many names?
Yes, yes.
She had several names.
Oh yes. And we had several people, teachers. Miss Thompson was in and out, and we had several teachers, coming in and out, and as far as teaching us. But those were some of the main ones
Mm-hmm.
that we had that I remember. And the school was so small until they had 2 classes in each room,
Oh, really?
and they had to use Fountainhead Church for 1 or 2 classes
Oh.
because they didn't have room in there.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. So, do you remember when this school was, you may not, well, I'll ask anyway, was near Antioch? They said it was a one-room school on the Antioch campus. Do you remember that at all?
No, I don't remember that.
Just the one on Division.
Yes, just that one on Division.
Okay.
Mhm.
Let's see. Let me ask you this. Do you remember any of the other one-room schools in the area? Like there was Gabriella, where Miss Williams taught for a while. There was Snow Hill, or they call it Colakey. They had one at Geneva. I just heard they had one at Chuleota. Do you remember any of those schools?
I remember the ones. I remember the one in Snow Hill
Mm-hmm.
because the one in Snow Hill they closed, and they started coming up to Oviedo
Okay.
to this school.
Okay.
And I don't remember the others too much.
Okay.
As far as students coming up here.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oviedo was a farming community. Now, what can you tell us about Oviedo at that time? What kind of work did everybody do? You could mainly talk about your parents and grandparents.
Well, my grandparents, they farmed. They had beans and peas and celery, and just about everybody. They had orange trees, and people picked fruit, and they had the celery fields, and mostly celery and oranges. That was the most, because they had the orange packing house up there where the station is now.
Right.
That they were doing.
Hold on a minute. So let me let this go to my. Okay. Go ahead. You talk about the industry here.
Yeah, it was just mostly oranges and celery.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all people did, pick fruit and cut celery. And when my grandfather had his, he had some of the high school students to come in and work after school so they can have extra money or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, after everything started getting so big, he didn't do celery and thing anymore because, he was just a small farmer. They were big
Right.
farmers with, the Wheelers and the Evans and, different ones at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what everybody started doing,
Farm.
picking fruit and, working on the farms out with celery and whatever.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Let's ask about. Do you remember when they had the train here coming through?
Oh yes, I remember they had the train. I don't think you remember this, Judith, but the train tracks would come between the Oviedo graveyard and Antioch. The train track
Okay.
in the we call it the graveyard
Right.
for blacks was right there on the side of the road.
Right. I had heard that. Yes.
It was there on the side of the
Yes.
road. And as the graves kept getting so big, they didn't have room.
Right.
So that's when Mr. Butler Boston donated his property out there, and that's where the cemetery is now.
Okay.
But the train track would come right between Antioch and that graveyard.
Right. Okay.
And they would load pulpwood on,
Yes.
on the train.
Yes.
And it was going through.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned pulpwood. What is pulpwood?
Well, they would go out by in the woods and cut down trees and whatever, and cut it up to a certain degree and load it on the train so they can be. It was just freight train coming through here.
Now, do you remember the Turpentine Camp in Chuliota?
No, I didn't remember it, but I heard about it because I think my grandfather worked down there in the Turpentine Stills and whatever. And that's when he met George Kelsey. He was our police for years.
Right.
My daddy and George Kelsey more or less grew up down there together. They parents were in the Turpentine Stills down there in Chuliota.
Oh my, that's interesting. Very interesting. Well, we just found out more information on that community down there. So that's mainly why I asked you if you remember the Turpentine still.
I don't remember, but I heard them talking about it.
Now, is there anything else you'd like to tell us that just, if you didn't tell us, you would just burst? Anything else you'd like to tell us about growing up in Oviedo in a small farming community?
Well, growing up here, everybody knew each other, and just like I say with the Moors, they had several sections of Oviedo. And with the Moors, it was Moortown.
Where was Moortown?
Out there where the Moors place was.
Oh, really? That's right. Oh, okay,
out
okay,
there.
okay.
And then the Saps, they had Sap Alley
Right.
out there in Jackson Heights.
Right.
And out out by the school, that was the Scrubs.
Right.
And up here was Laudenville, where I am now. It was Laudenville. And over there where Grant Chapel Church is, that was the square. And out, I guess, off Reed Road, it was Johnson Hill, but they call it Washington Oaks, I guess now, whatever.
Right.
And out next to City Hall, that was Boston Hill.
Right.
Because all the Bostons grew up out there, Mr. Butler Boston. But there were sections, and everybody knew everybody, with the Moores and the Jacksons and the Saps and the Bowers and the Stalwarts and the Carwise. Everybody knew everybody. And we all went to school together, whatever.
Because it was a small community.
Oh, yes.
I imagine it wasn't that many people.
No, everybody knew everybody. And when they built the project over there, they named it Butler Boston Court after Russell Boston's grandfather, because they wanted to be a low-income, housing project for people and whatever. And when they built the school, my mama was the first janitor that they hired out there.
Oh, okay.
Because I would help her during the summer, and after it started growing so big, she couldn't do it, so they hired other people to come out there and help. But we all grew up here and knew everybody and whatever do. So this is my home, and I guess this is where I'm going to stay. I'm not going anywhere else. And this street, Avenue B, used to be Tyson Street. Oh. Because Mr. Johnny Tyson had a store right down here where the church is.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, he was the first black grocery store.
Okay.
Here in Oviedo, as I remember.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's see. That may be about everything. Trying to bring out some of your memories. I'll give you one last chance. Yeah, Sophie. Anything else you like about growing up? I think we're trying to, we probably cut some of this out. We may not. I don't know. It depends on how I feel. But we're trying to just get a flavor of what things were like during, when you were born in 1940, and so Oviedo definitely was a farming community. There wasn't no if as and buts about it, they were farming citrus, like you were saying, citrus
Yeah.
and so.
Mm-hmm.
And so, so we covered that. Um, oh, let me ask you this: you you were bused to Sanford, like day-to-day things. If did you ever go outside of the city to like have to buy groceries, or you just like you said, Mr. Johnny Tyson had a store?
Well, they went outside. They used to go up the Goldenrod
Oh,
to
right.
the store, and they would go to Sanford.
Right.
Hmm.
Okay.
And during the week, if they needed anything, they would go down to Mr. Johnny Tyson's store and get stuff. But I think up the Goldenrod in the Sanford, they would go, buy groceries because I think Mr. Barner, he used to take people. I remember him taking my grandfather over to Winter Park to the grocery store and to catch the train to go to Sanford to do
Oh.
shopping.
Oh. Okay. All right. Well, we have 3 minutes left on this segment, but I think you covered a lot. I appreciate it because, again, we're trying to chronicle how early Oviedo was and your memories of it and of the schools and of the churches. And I think we did a good job.
Yeah.
So I thank you very much, Mrs. Sophia Washington, Aunt Sophie. And this ends our interview.
Thank you.
All right.